اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد सबसे आला वाला हमारा नबी सबसे बाला वाला हमारा नबी अपने मौला का
Doctors and guests on the Medical Files program will help you with any medical problems you have by giving you advice on air. However, they do not have your full medical history and they have not seen you. Please verify the advice given to you on air with your doctor who knows you better. Neither the doctors nor Radio Al Ansar will be held responsible for any ill health caused by the advice given on Radio Al Ansar.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم سيدنا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. All praise due to Allah, the Lord, cherisher, nourisher, sustainer and master of the universe, the most gracious, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Ya Allah, it is only you that we worship and it is your guidance that we seek. Ya Allah, keep us in the straight path. Ya Allah, shower us with your choice of blessings. Ya Allah, shower us with your mercy. Ya Allah, guide us. Greetings, salam, salutations on our beloved Nabi Muhammadur Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's time for Medical Files, brought to you by the Islamic Medical Association of South Africa and hosted by myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and we welcome our listeners on Radio Al Ansar, CII Radio, Voice of the Cape, Radio 786 Sirius FM, Radio Islam and IFM Port Elizabeth, and all listening to us on audio streaming and other platforms. Our topic for discussion is midwives, experiences and challenges, and we have two special guests this evening. We have Sister Hani Ali, and who is the Durban Branch Nursing Director of the Islamic Medical Association of South Africa, and we also have a doula, Sister Zuleika Ismail. We'll be talking to Sister Hani Ali for the first half hour of the program, and thereafter we'll be speaking to Sister Zuleika Ismail. Sister Hani Ali, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and Jazakallah khair for joining me on the program this evening.
Wa alaikum salam and assalamu alaikum to all your listeners. Jazakallah for this very interesting topic. And let's see what we can do to inform people.
Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Just to introduce Sister Hani Ali. Sister Hani Ali is a professional nurse for 57 years with many qualifications, having earned many awards, works with many organizations and NGOs, has presented many papers nationally and internationally. She presently works as a nursing director for the Islamic Medical Association of South Africa and runs 5 clinics, runs 2 funded programs for IMA, also works as a provincial manager for the Muslim AIDS program. Now, Sister Hani Ali, just to kick off, explain to us what is meant by midwifery. Who is a midwife?
Okay, midwifery is an aspect of the nursing curriculum. Once you are through with your general nursing, in South Africa, it's very important that you do midwifery, and that's another course on itself for a year. And this is very important because in hospitals, patients come in, pregnant, undiagnosed, etc. So you have to have some knowledge of midwifery, and that is the delivery process of a child. So, this is what, in short, for people to know. But what has happened is the Nursing Council, then decided they would like to advance this whole process of nursing, of the nursing curriculum. So they brought upon a course, a 4-year course, where the 1 year you are busy with general nursing, then midwifery, then psychology, and then nursing administration. So it's a 4-year course that is done through universities, which is the better course, the 3-year of general nursing and then midwifery, and another year of nursing admin, another year of psychiatry, and so on. One needs to sit down and estimate, and no research has been done on this topic.
Now, what are the overall critical challenges which nurses face, especially in scarce resource public services that we face?
Okay, the most important problem we have is the scarcity of staff. Nurses are leaving in hordes, are leaving this country and going off to the Middle East, and also to America and England, New Zealand, Australia, and nurses trained in South Africa. I know I had to run away from South Africa because I was a freedom fighter. And the one day I'm looking around the hospital, and just because my friend was a nurse there, and the next moment the nursing director asked, "Are you a nurse? If you are a friend of Mrs. Singh's?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Would you want a job with me?" I said, "Yes, absolutely." So then the next day she called me in and we had a chat, and I had my papers, and she sent me to the immigration department, got a job. The next day I started working.
Okay.
That's how much they like South African trained nurses. So therefore, we have the scarcity of manpower. Or woman power, or whatever power, in South African hospitals, especially in the private sector. Then you have the the financial situation in hospitals. Sometimes I get quite embarrassed to say I was a freedom fighter, because people say, "So is this what you brought our hospitals to? That's why you fought for the new government." It's very embarrassing to look at the state of our hospital. Midwifery especially, besides the operating theater, ICUs and so on, you got to be so afraid of infections, because there are 2 lives involved. Absolutely. Here, And when you look at our bed linen, you look at our resources, antiseptics and gloves and sheets and just about everything, they really, really are in tatters at the moment. So there's the material resources, human resources, the financial resources, because they cannot buy the stuff that we need, equipment and supplies. Then there's also the fact that they don't renew and replace and repair our nursing equipment. So that is another responsibility. And then the nurses have the nursing council giving them rules and regulations to work within. But how can you work when you don't have the necessary supplies?
Absolutely.
And the manpower?
Just to remind our listeners that this is an interactive program. If you have any questions, our topic for discussion is midwives' experiences and challenges. You can forward to us your questions via WhatsApp on 060 904 1056. Now, Sister Ali, there's a factor which we call the RH factor. Can you explain what is meant by the RH factor, please?
Okay. It is a blood condition. If the RH factor is negative and the father's positive, then the child would be born with many problems. And sometimes, if that is not really looked at and found and treated, then you have many, many resulting problems. To just talk about it briefly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens with us midwives is that in the public sector, women come in, just to deliver. And we are faced with the problem of complications. We don't know what the RH factor is. We don't know what their HIV status is and what stage they are in, because if you are pregnant and, you are HIV positive, you can still be pregnant because then you're on treatment and there's precautions that one takes to save the child from being born positive. McCord Hospital had a major rollout of the HIV care for pregnant women.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a year in which we had no children born from HIV positive mothers carrying the virus, So it was, that becomes a major challenge also. We don't know what the previous history was, whether they can deliver vaginally or do they have to have a cesarean. Nobody has done measurements for these people, and they land on our hands, and you got to do the best that you can. And remember, there are so many times that nurses can be sued for malpractice, and causing damage to the child. For instance, when they present with, shoulder deliveries and the baby's hand, the shoulder joint is, becomes a difficulty after birth. Then you don't have the right equipment also to deliver these children, the different equipment to bring forth the baby without any damages and complications. So these are all the things that happen, and they are all preventable. And I really don't know why people don't continually go for, monthly, 3 monthly, and then monthly, and then fortnightly checks. So we know what's coming. We have the records. We know what we have now in our hands, So these are very many of the problems that we have.
Now, can you share some important issues in training midwives in our country?
Well, in training, sorry about that. In training our midwives, we have very few colleges at the moment that take them on, there has been really abuse of nurses, of nurse training in South Africa, when people just decided that open colleges without the resources. And these nurses who are being trained, you have to have the theoretical practice, and then you have to have the practicals. And not many places train midwives at the moment, or they are full. So these nurses do not get the adequate training that we used to get many years ago. And not many people, like the hospitals themselves. Previously, you had most of the provincial hospitals, Addington, King Edward, R.K. Khan, McCord, all these different hospitals running programs. So with colleges, them be having their own colleges. So now we don't have those. Then there was a ready supply for or space for nurses to go out there and get your training, training done. But at the moment, you've got to wait for your space. But that is why most nurses now go on to the UNISA training, where they do long distance training. The university can take just that number of students, and the university don't have their own practical training hospitals. So, or they have very few of them, and hence we are saddled with problems for the practical training. You can't just go in after your theoretical practice, go in and deliver. You got to be monitored, and it's a major responsibility. Midwifery is one of the most dangerous nursing curricula that I, having served on the nursing council, having served on the nursing associations, I just found it to be very dangerous to be in midwifery. And then when you sit down and you listen to the hearings when the nursing council comes along, because you are reported to the nursing council for this or that omission and so on. And what happens then is you find the most number of cases are from the midwifery section.
So, Sister Hanini, what makes a successful midwife?
You really have to be a very special person. One, you have to have absolute patience. Secondly, you have to have empathy. Thirdly, you have to be understanding and caring, and then you have to be a good communicator. And you need to know exactly how to bring the mother and the father. Sometimes they allow the father to be there, to bring them to work together with you for the safe delivery of this child. And, then you have to do the episiotomy when the head is to emerge. You got to be so careful then, as to the cut that you make and suture it thereafter. Then you have to know, exactly how to to monitor this child that's just been born, number one, and see to all the scores, its breathing, its heartbeat, its, pulse and everything. You have to look at all these. And then you got to see to the mother who's just delivered. And then most times I delivered babies. I did my midwifery in Cape Town, and I was only a student into my 4th month of midwifery, and there was this lady in one of the squatter settlements, and I was only there to watch, to learn by observing.
Yes.
And here the driver says, come, there's 2 of you here. This was called district nursing. There's another lady that's very, very, that's just about delivering, and we got to get there. And there I went, and I had to deliver 3 babies. But the sad part of that was, most of the time, when the first baby was born, the father collapsed,
Yes.
and there was nobody to help me with the light, and it was in the evening. And then when the second baby came, my hands were full with 2, and then the third one comes, and these were undiagnosed,
Yes.
and it was the most difficult part of my midwifery term, and I vowed never to take on midwifery as a career,
Sister Hani, Hani Ali, unfortunately, that's all we have time for. We've got to take an ad break. I'm going to talk to you on the other side of this for about 5 minutes, where I'm going to ask you for some parting shots. Do stay with us. We'll continue the discussion on the other side for about 5 minutes. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Come get our butcher's best for less at Checkers Foods Cowie Park. Enjoy certified halal butchery products like Dorslandworst, just $89.99 per kg. Beef bangers, just $79.99 per kilo. Mutton bright chops, just $99.99 per kg. Mutton dania sausages, just $99.99 per kilo. Deals valid until Sunday, May 11th. Only at Checkers Foods Cowie Park. Now certified by the NIHT, the National Independent Halal Trust. Across our butchery, bakery and deli.
There are over 200 million orphans globally. We can't help all of them, but what if we each helped just one? The Al Imdad Foundation now gives you an opportunity to help just one orphan from Syria or Palestine. For just 500 Rand per month, you can help safeguard the dignity of an orphan by assisting them with basic needs such as food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and attention. Our orphan sponsorship program allows you to track the progress of your orphan through regular feedback. Make a difference in the life of an orphan today. Visit alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Looking for top quality tools and hardware at unbeatable prices? WhatsApp us at 081 450 6082 or shop online at hyperhardware.co.za. For fast, reliable service, we deliver nationwide.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Audio stream across the world on radioalansar.co.za.
You listen to Medical Files, brought to you by the Islamic Medical Association of South Africa and hosted by myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. Our topic for discussion is midwives' experiences and challenges. And our first guest this evening was Sister Julie Ali, and Sister Hani Ali. My apologies, Sister Hani Ali. And Sister Hani Ali is the nursing director at the IMA Durban branch. Sister Hani Ali, I want to thank you for joining me in the program this evening and for having shared the discussion on midwifery with us. I'm sure you have some parting shots and advice for our listeners.
Okay, the first thing I would like to ask is for all women to go out to the different clinics and have yourselves assessed, because it's not just your life, it's your baby's life also. Go out there. There are many clinics you could go to. Have yourselves examined and know what's going on. It's the most saddest thing for us midwives to deliver a child that has already passed away in utero. And this happens so many times. Number two, I would like to please appeal to the government to provide us with the necessary supplies for working carefully and expertly in delivering babies that are going to be our next generations. And I would like the government to really come to the party. We can't do it on our own. We really need to bring all these problems we have in nursing to a halt now. And I would like to also say to my nurse colleagues, please know I am here for many, many years as a nurse. Please practice patience. Please know that you are the one with the expertise, and you've got to thank God Almighty for having these skills. And you need to be able to do it with care, love, understanding, and compassion. Really, that's what our patients need. They really need you.
Thank you so much, Sister Hani Ali, for joining me in the program this evening. All the best to you, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. We spoke to Sister Hani Ali, and our next guest is Sister Zuleika Ismail. And Zuleika Ismail is a doula. Sister Zuleika Ismail, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair for joining me in the program.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just to introduce our guest, Zuleika is committed to providing women-centered care that integrates the benefits of aromatherapy, reflexology, childbirth education, and doula support. She is registered with the Allied Health Professions Council, the Women Offering Mothers Birth Support, South African Doula Association, and the International Childbirth Educators Association. With over 2 decades of experience in her field, Zuleika crafts personalized care plans that nurtures the physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being of expectant mothers. And she offers a variety of services which include reflexology to women who are trying to fall pregnant, pregnancy massages, one-on-one childbirth education, labor and birth support, postpartum care, assistance with lactation, and the list goes on. Now, Zuleika, tell me, what is a doula? I mean, I introduced you as a doula. Who is a doula?
People always ask me this question. So, a doula is a Greek word meaning a woman who helps women.
A woman
in South Africa, doulas, yes. So, in South Africa, doulas are known as childbirth companions. So a doula provides non-medical, continuous, uninterrupted emotional and physical support to the woman and her partner for the duration of the labor and childbirth.
And what then is the difference between a midwife and a doula?
So the midwife is a trained nurse who has specialized in midwifery, and she is doing all medical assessments of the laboring mum. For example, checking her blood pressure, assessing the fetal monitor, adjusting or administering medication if mum needs, and reporting all of this to the gynecologist when asked for an update. The doula, on the other hand, so although the doula hasn't done extensive medical training like her nursing counterparts, she is familiar with the labor and birth process and the terminology, So she's able to support and explain to her client if a client needs reassurance. She's also there to assist the mum to change positions while laboring, accompany her to the shower or to the loo if necessary. And most of all, she can be the constant support person when the nurses change shifts. So sometimes a mum goes into labor and gets to the hospital at 4 p.m., for instance, and she's just getting comfortable with the midwife on duty when it's time for the nurses to change shifts.
Mm-hmm.
But her doula remains with her throughout. So throughout the labor, throughout the birth, and then for an hour or 2 hours after that.
So the doula is recognized by the hospital and is permitted by the hospital to be assisting in this process.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes.
So having said that, are doulas trained or accredited by medical aids?
Well, now that it's all become regulated, right? Remember, doulas are trained by professional bodies, and there are quite a few professional bodies. And as you mentioned earlier, they fall under the South African Doulas Association. So on a personal level, I've been trained by WOMS, which stands for Women Offering Mothers Birth Support.
Mhm.
And this body was established in 2001. And obviously, our members have to work according to a clear code of conduct and scope of practice, and they can provide the best in professional doula care. So they are required to participate in continuous professional development in order to stay up to date on the latest research and evidence-based practice in childbirth. And WOMS also has a commitment to social upliftment through a volunteer doula network that provides services in state hospitals. So medical aids have noticed this, and they've now stepped up and they're on board.
Mhm. So if we have to sort of appoint a doula to assist in the childbirth process, then the medical aids will cover the cost of the doula. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, it's not all medical aids yet, but there are 4 major medical aids that have stepped up, and we can see that the others are now taking notice, and they do pay a portion of the bill, not the total bill.
Okay. So why would a woman or a couple need a doula?
When a doula was used, people found a reduction in the use of pain meds and requests for epidurals. And through constant support and assistance by the doula and her partner, a woman is able to work with her body. So there's hardly a need for an assisted delivery like the use of forceps and suction. And of course, there's fewer C-sections unless it's a medical emergency. So there's an improvement in breastfeeding. Overall satisfaction is felt by the couple about the birth, and they're generally very happy with how everything went. And then there's less incidence of postpartum depression. So I think with the doula present, what we're finding is that the couple feel that they have somebody to support them, they have somebody to advise them, and they tend to make more informed choices. And the husband tends to advocate for the wife and help her emotionally as well. So she finds it much easier to labor because she's got more people in her corner, so to speak.
Now, not many people know of the doula. Is this a relatively new concept? I know you mentioned something about the association having started in 2001, which is almost 24 years ago.
Yes.
But is this a relatively new concept?
Not really. The funny thing is, previously we used to have the kalas. And, you had that old lady in the community who would actually be the lady that would massage a woman if she wasn't falling pregnant. Or you had the person who would go house to house with her bag and help to do home deliveries. So the concept is not new. I would say it's more educated, it's more formalized, and it's actually a new concept in South Africa. But overseas, you actually find doulas as being part of the maternity unit. So they rely very heavily on doulas to assist mothers in labor, for instance. And it's more a midwife-led thing overseas.
So do doulas deliver babies as well, if the need arises?
No.
They don't.
No, doulas assist during the delivery of a baby. So if there's just a midwife and a doula, then the doula is assisting the midwife, if it's just a home birth, for instance. But in a more formalized hospital setting, either in a public or a private hospital, you find that the doula and the husband can be present with the laboring mom, although it's a hospital setting. Yeah.
Interesting, really interesting. We're going to take a short ad break. Do stay with us. We'll continue on the other side of this. And when we do continue, maybe you can share with us what inspired you to become a doula and what does this role mean to you. But that's on the other side of the ad break.
This segment is brought to you by Kenfield Auto, your RMI approved service and repair specialist. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport. Kenfield Auto.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna Rabbana lawafurun shakur.
I won't start.
Kenfield Auto.
Noisy brakes.
Kenfield Auto.
Due for a service.
Kenfield Auto. Kenfield Auto. The answer to all your car problems. Your service and repair specialist for your VW, Audi, Suzuki, Toyota, or just about any vehicle. Kenfield Auto, your RMI and insurance approved workshop to handle them all. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport. Call us on 031 207 2399. Kenfield Auto.
Elder Care. Your Zakah makes a difference. Your Zakah ensures that our elders are well taken care of. This drive provides rent assistance, food, and basic essentials to ensure that our seniors live comfortably. Your generous support ensures that they receive medical care and nourishment, allowing them to live with dignity and peace. Donate today and make a difference with a lasting impact on their lives. Call Outreach now on 031 208 1601.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al-Ansar.
You're listening to Medical Files, brought to you by the Islamic Medical Association of South Africa and hosted by myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. Our topic for discussion is midwives, experiences and challenges. And our guest this evening is Sister Zuleika Ismail, who practices as a doula. Now, Sister Zuleika, I did mention prior to the ad break that what inspired you to become a doula and what does this role mean to you?
Now, over the years, I've noticed how women have lost the ability to trust in their bodies and to trust in the ability to birth their babies naturally. And what is so sad is that there's so much of misinformation out there that I feel that there's a need to start educating and start supporting women and showing them that if your nannies and daddies did it without necessarily having to deliver in a hospital. I remember Sister Hani Ali saying that she used to go home to do deliveries or to observe. And funnily enough, it seems to have been a my taqdeer as such, because my mom told me that I was born at home. And I didn't know that I was actually going to choose this path. But what resonates with me is that previously nurses went home to assist moms to deliver their babies and generally made sure that everything was in order, obviously assessed the mom properly, etc., etc. And the mother just trusted in her ability to deliver the baby. Obviously, if there were complications, then she would be transferred to the hospital. Nowadays, we find that although mothers are delivering in hospitals, and we're talking about private hospitals, they have everything at their disposal, but they are still terrified. And I think the thing that worries them the most is the fact that they're going to go through pain. What they don't realize is that they have support, they have the medical personnel, they have their husbands. And Sister Ali has also mentioned that there's a shortage of midwives, and I suppose that's the reason why the hospitals are embracing the fact that doulas are around to assist these laboring moms to trust in the process and deliver their babies naturally. And let C-sections be just that. Let it be an emergency, and let it not be elective, or let it not be a choice.
Now, when does a couple contact a doula? I mean, is it pre-pregnancy? Is it during childbirth? Is it post-delivery? When does a couple contact a doula?
So it's all of the above, Brother Faisal. In my practice, because I do pregnancy massages, once my client has been established in the pregnancy, meaning once the first 3 months have passed and we know that the pregnancy is safe, then she can come to me and have massages to help the changes that's happening to her body. For instance, she may get lower back ache, her legs may start to ache, or whatever the case is. And we just want to help her to get through that phase so that she can continue with her pregnancy in a very healthy, natural way. Of course, I insist that she comes to me after she has her checkup with her gynecologist, so I know that everything is going well with her and the pregnancy. I have been known to turn people away if I knew that they were not well or unwell on the day that they came in for a massage. And then during the actual pregnancy, we're doing the massages, and then I do the childbirth education, where I do a 90 minutes one-on-one what we call a birth preparation class with the husband and wife, and teach them what it involves to help your body to go into labor, to help yourself with pain management during labor, and how to breathe to push your baby out, whether you on an epidural or not. And then I'm with them if they require my services during the labor. So I would go in with them. Of course, we would draw up a contract, discuss what they would prefer, etc. And then I would assist them during the labor. And then postpartum, I would go home and teach her how to bath her baby, how to manage her breastfeeding, give her advice on her diets, how to maximize her time when baby is sleeping, and how to basically manage her day so that she doesn't get too exhausted. Of course, in the Muslim community, we have a huge, what I would say, a village. We have the nanny who is there. The mother generally goes to her mom's place during the postpartum phase. Then we'll have all these wonderful aunties cooking pots and pots of food and bringing it over. And then we'll have the community in general assuring that somebody stops by to ensure that they give the nanny a bit of respite from seeing to the mum and baby, and to ensure that everybody's having a bit of rest during the day, because the nights can be long.
No, I know it's can become quite overwhelming sometimes with everybody, just giving their bit, and although everyone means well, but sometimes it becomes a bit overwhelming. But I think everyone means well, and we personally miss those good old days when we had those, major families, etc. Now, what sort of emotional, physical support can a doula provide during pregnancy, during labor, and postpartum?
So the emotional aspect is helping people to understand that what you're going through is not insurmountable. You can do this. But actually addressing what their fears are one-on-one when you're having a discussion with them. For instance, this afternoon, I did a birth prep class with a doctor and her husband. And, one would think if she's a doctor and she knows what the whole birthing process is about, why will she need to come to a birth prep class? Because we must remember that she was the one giving the treatment. And in this instance, she's going to be the patient, right? And it's the first time she's actually delivering a baby herself. And we can't forget that there is going to be pain involved. So we've got to discuss what her pain options are. And we've got to ask her how she actually feels about the actual birth, because she's doing this on her own, right? The support person, the first support person, is her husband. And he told me, look, if I looked at blood, I think I'm going to faint. I don't like the sight of needles. And I said to him, rightfully so. You are a professional in your own right in whatever field you've chosen to do. And naturally, we don't expect you to be comfortable in absolutely every setting. So this is a first for him as well. And you're giving them a platform to voice their fears so that everybody can discuss what they would actually expect to happen in the labor ward. And if they were going to have somebody there to support them, what they would want that person to do for them. So I'm glad that we have a platform where people can air their fears, discuss their reservations, tell you what they would like to happen to them and for them. And for instance, they don't necessarily want people walking in and out of labor ward when the mother's laboring. Maybe she's a very private person.
Absolutely.
Or they don't necessarily want people insisting that they need to take this med or they need to do this or need to do that if they want to go at their own pace. So I teach the husband how to understand what his wife needs and how to advocate for her if he knows that this was her plan all along. And obviously to keep an open mind at all times. Because I say to my patients when they walk in, you could be at any number of births, but you will never know how a birth is going to play out until the very end. Sometimes we have mums dilating to a full 10 centimeters, and for whatever reason, that baby just won't come out, and that ends up being an emergency C-section. Or sometimes we have a mum who decides that she wants to have a totally natural birth, and for whatever reason, she doesn't dilate, or baby may be going into distress, and then that could be a C-section. So keep an open mind, try and go with the flow, use whatever is available to you at the time, and don't fight against yourself. Sometimes people could be their own worst enemies. And we have to be very gentle about how we explain things to them if things are changing, and how we reassure them and help them to just accept if things are not working out the way they would want to, but also rejoice with them when things work out exactly the way they wanted things to be. And that's all part of Allah's divine intervention at the time of birth.
Absolutely. We've got like a minute to round up. I want to thank you for joining me on the program this evening and for sharing those thoughts with us. Many of us are hearing of doulas for the first time, and I see that a doula plays a huge role and a very important role, in a person's pregnancy, in her childbirth, in etc. etc. I'm sure, Sister Zuleika Ismail, you have a message for our listeners.
Yeah, I do.
Let's go
Brother Faisal, I just want to say to mothers out there that you need to trust in yourself. You need to trust in the fact that if your body was able to fall pregnant and grow a baby, your body is going to be able to birth that baby, and your body is going to be able to nurture that baby, because your body can produce breast milk, which is liquid gold, and that is going to help to sustain, nourish, grow, and build your baby's immune system in times like these when diseases are rife, and we have the ability to not only birth the future ummah, but also to sustain and make sure that we have a strong ummah going forward, inshallah.
Ameen. Thank you once again for joining me in the program this evening. And I must thank Sister Hani Ali and Sister Zuleka Ismail. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I want to thank the engineers in the various radio stations for having engineered this evening, and I want to thank the listeners for tuning into Medical Files. Medical Files will be back with you next Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. inshallah. And before I leave you, I want to say to you that may you be in the care and protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Until we chat again, for myself, Faizal MJ Suleman, do enjoy the rest of the week, and it's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
An informative Islamic global perspective.